Since we're all streaming to Twitch here, we'll be choosing streaming service. Next, we'll get a drop down of all the different current services that OBS supports. So Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, Facebook, they're all in there, and we're going to be selecting Twitch. Next, we need to enter our stream key. So this is the private key that we can get from our Twitch account, and it's the only thing required by OBS to allow you to stream to that Twitch account. So this is a private key that should be kept private. To get the key, you can click the little link in OBS to open up your web browser to the right page where the stream key is shown. If you aren't already logged into Twitch on your browser, then you'll obviously need to log in before you can get your stream key. You can also always access your stream key by going to the Twitch website, then going to your dashboard, clicking Channel under Settings, and then finally clicking on your stream key. Twitch reiterates that you shouldn't be sharing this key with anybody else. Obviously, I'm going to be showing my key here in this video, but there's also an option to reset your key, which I'll be clicking as soon as I finish making this video. So last time I did this, everyone was commenting, oh, you said you couldn't show your key, and you showed your key, but obviously I just reset it after I've made a video. Select the whole stream key and copy it, head back to OBS and then paste it into the stream key box. The next two boxes should usually be left checked. The first one, which is prefer hardware encoding, means that OBS will try and use the GPU's dedicated encoder chip if it has one, which is usually preferable as it frees up your CPU, which should in theory help reduce stream issues. However, hardware encoding does also usually result in a lower quality encoding for streaming. I personally would recommend using the hardware encoding if you can and leaving this box checked. Obviously, if you're not sure whether or not your graphics card has the encoding chip, you can leave this box checked and OBS will check for you. But actually, the ideal setup would be for you to test both CPU encoding and GPU encoding on your stream and seeing which one you think makes better results in terms of quality as well as in terms of the system performance impact. The second box, which is estimate bitrate with a bandwidth test, this just means that OBS will perform a test to some local Twitch servers to try and find an ideal bitrate that you can stream at. Once you're happy, you can click next and OBS will begin to start performing its configuration tests. What it is doing is streaming some random data at various different resolutions, bit rates and frame rates to Twitch servers without actually going live to try and work out what your system and your connection is capable of. This test is pretty quick, takes less than a minute, and when it is complete you should get a window showing the test results. Take a look at all the different settings that OBS has recommended, what resolution the output stream will be at, as well as what bitrate and what FPS. Clicking Apply Settings will mean that OBS will then apply these settings to the current profile. I just want to reiterate something and make it really clear that this is OBS's estimate as to what the ideal settings for your setup would be. Most people at some point in their streaming career are going to have to jump into the settings window and change one or more of these values to keep things stable. All of these settings that have been applied can be found if you click the Settings button here on the right and look in the relevant tab. The Stream tab is where your streaming service and stream key are. The Output tab is where the video bitrate, the encoder and the recording options are. And finally, the Video tab is where the output resolution and FPS options are. There's also some tabs for general audio, hotkeys and advanced for you to have a look at if your heart so desires. The final thing we need to do before we start streaming is to add a scene and a source. Let's start by renaming this default scene called Scene by right-clicking it and choosing Rename. I'm going to call this scene Game since it's going to be the scene that has my gameplay in. Next, move across to the Sources panel and click the plus icon. This shows all the different types of sources that you can add to each scene, things like text, image overlays, webcams, browser windows, and all sorts of other things. To keep things super simple for this video, we're just going to be selecting Game Capture since we want to start by capturing our game. Make sure that you have your game running at the same time as setting this up so that we can make sure that it's captured properly. Name it whatever you want. It doesn't actually matter what you name it, but it helps to identify each source. You know, once you're further on in setting up your stream, you can have many different sources in each scene, and it's going to really help if you have them named properly. I'm actually going to be leaving mine as Game Capture since this is always going to be the source that captures my game, no matter if I change game. Once the Game Capture window has opened, it gives you a number of different options for its mode. If you always play your games in full screen, rather than something like windowed or borderless, you should be able to leave the mode on Capture any full screen application. This just means that OBS is always going to find the full screen application and choose to use that as its source. However, for some games that doesn't always work, or maybe you're running your games in a windowed or a borderless mode, in which case change the mode to capture a specific window and then select the correct window you want to capture from the next dropdown. Hopefully you should then see the stream preview update with your captured game, and that is basically the very beginnings of building your stream layout and design. At this point, I'd love to recommend you watch my video on adding more sources to OBS. It covers adding games, webcams, overlays and text, as well as covering various issues that some game capture methods suffer from, such as the black screen bug. I've linked the video down in the description once again, but also you should be able to click a little link in the top right corner. I also have a whole playlist on how to do various things on OBS. If you're new to this channel, it's definitely worth subscribing and having a look around at all the cool things that we've learned how to do for your OBS Studio stream. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully you have enjoyed this 2018 version of how to stream to Twitch. Another video that I'm just going to recommend, if you're having any issues with your stream, I do have a video on Twitch Inspector, which is a way of being able to analyze what's going wrong with your stream and helping decide what settings to change. So definitely check out that video, again down in the description, if you're having any issues. It's really interesting for me how much easier this has become. It's become so much easier to set up your stream with things like the auto configuration wizard, and there's so much more detailed information that Twitch is actually giving out. So it's nowhere near as long of a setup process, and hopefully you've been able to follow along and have something that you're happy with. Finally, I want to finish just by thanking again my Patreons.